You're listening to Left Up the Valley 2.0, Atheist, Skeptic, and Humanist Radio.
All right, Brentley, you have another brilliant moment for us?
I do, yeah. So, this is this dude, Dave Ramsey. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's the financial guru of the right wing. And
Financial guru.
yeah, he's, and he thinks, I don't know. I've had so many different conservative people like bring him up to me as, well, for a conservative, this guy's okay, and I looked him up, and at first a lot of it was just like, it's just financial advice. So I was just sort of like, okay, whatever, there's nothing wrong with that necessarily. But the thing is with him is it's a lot of blaming the poor. And basically, if you are poor, you should have no money going towards anything that is for any kind of pleasure or anything like that whatsoever, right? So you need to not have TV, you need to not be, just anything for entertainment. Poor people just need to be bored all the time and be putting that money into savings. But
sacrifice.
So I guess enjoying life is just a something that's reserved for the rich.
Yeah, and it's like, because there's, with Christianity, there's this like major thing about suffering for some reason.
Yeah.
Like any. Yeah, I don't know what it's almost like with the addiction. Any kind of addiction help with religious religious places that help you with that. It's just torture a lot of times. They just force you to work for the church forever, and and that's supposed to. Yeah. It's all about the suffering.
Yes,
Brent. So the reason it's all about suffering is that's how you control the masses. If it's about suffering, then they're suffering for God, and then they won't complain.
Right.
I mean, you have great examples of that. I remember Mother Teresa. She was exactly that proponent, right? The proponent of, suffering is beautiful. Somehow suffering brings you closer to Jesus. And her patients, while she was getting premium treatment in the States, premium medical treatment in the States, her patients were not even treated half the time. They just were made to suffer. So this is Christianity in a 101.
It's so fucking weird. But so he recently just said something that it was it's just quite funny, really, because just given what we know about Jesus and the things that he's the character Jesus in the book, that things that he said and did are in exact contrast with the statement that he's about to make here. So we'll go ahead and take a listen to the clip.
Yeah,
let's clip that.
Oh yeah. Another brilliant moment.
Brought to you by religion.
Okay, I own rental property, single-family homes, among many other properties that we own. And if I raise my rent to be market rate, that does not make me a bad Christian. I did not displace the person out of that house if they can no longer afford it. The marketplace did. The economy did. The ratio of the income that they earn to their housing expense displaced them. I didn't cause any of that. And so you are not displacing them. You're taking too much credit for what's going on. If they need to move to a cheaper house because they can't afford, they're going to move to a lesser house. Because if they move, they're going to pay market rent.
What?
What a fucking asshole.
Okay.
By raising rent, quote unquote, to market, are you not driving up the fucking market?
Well,
right.
Nobody says you have to do that.
There's a couple of things I got to point out real quick. First of all, you can tell by his body language, crossed arms, he's not listening to you no matter what you say.
Nope.
Oh, hell.
Right.
Like, when you see somebody talking to you like that, that means, I don't care what you say.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Second of all, he's raising it to market rates. He's not raising it to what he needs to pay his mortgage. He's raising it to market rates. Yeah. So he's raising it to make a profit.
Yes.
Oh,
additional profit.
Exactly.
Yeah. Additional. Yes.
It's not, if he was raising it because he needs to be able to cover his mortgage, I get that. When you're raising it to market rates, that means you're raising it to make a profit.
Right. And what, and I don't know, here's the thing. Like, I remember hearing this sermon all the time, and this is how it went as far as I understood it. Now, there's a story about Jesus going into the temple, right? And he sees the doing the change. Now, what he sees is the way I've heard it, right? Is that these people in the temple would be people would be bringing in their lambs, right, to sacrifice, right, and but they would see, and it's supposed to be a spotless lamb. Now, these guys in the temple would say, "Oh no, there's a spot on that lamb. There's a spot right there." So, but hey, for $199.99, we've got a pre-approved one that is just, that we can sell you, and that was like what pissed Jesus off, at the time. And I've even heard people go even further and say that they were doing it only to non-Jewish people, right? So it was like there was also bigotry there, and that's what really pissed off Jesus, according to the story and the different interpretations I've heard. But
and that is a very common practice even today. I'm not saying necessarily Jewish or non-Jewish, but I mean in markets, you see that all the time in the tourist industry. Right?
Yeah,
you see that all the time.
And anytime you say market rate, that usually means it's really fucking high.
Yeah,
I don't know. Have you ever gone to a restaurant and it says market price?
Okay. So actually, let me put it to you this way, right? Because at my apartment, it's right before I signed my lease again, they said you can either sign a lease for this many months at this rate, or you can go on a month-to-month at market rate, which was higher.
Of course.
Because they're not charging me the market rate. They're charging me what this place is worth.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So to go to the market rate means you're just an extra level of asshole here. And that's the thing. So imagine you buy a house, right? Let's just say your mortgage is $1,000. You rent out the house for $1,500, right? Yeah. So you're making $500 every single month. If the market rate goes up, you're still making $500.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's market rate
on
mortgage.
Making less money. The only time you might start losing money is the home needs a whole bunch of repairs or needs to be remodeled. So if they move out and you remodel your home and then you change the rent because you've made it into a better house, then okay. But just sitting there and being like, oh, your 2-year lease is up, screw you.
They call those rental evictions.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to do that here.
No. I'm saying they moved out. Like they're just done.
By choice? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they're just done. They moved out because the house sucks. It needs to be fixed. They're like, I'm going to move to another house, and you remodel, charge more. But to sit around and be like, I'm making $500, but market rent is up. So now your lease is up after 2 years. I'm going to raise this to $2,000 so I can make $1,000 a month instead. You're just an asshole.
Yeah,
not allowed to do that here anyway.
Nothing says that you have to do that. Yeah. There's nothing, you don't have to make even more profit because the house down the street costs more an hour, whatever, according to the, the market rate or whatever. You don't have to do that.
At least here in British Columbia, there's, I guess, some form of rent control kind of. We're governed by a residential tenancy act. So I'm in my home now, even though I'm on a month-to-month, they're only allowed to raise my rent like 2% a year. So they can't do it any more than that. And I haven't had a rental increase, knock on wood, but if they were, they can only do it a certain percentage per year, and they cannot evict me in order to bring someone else in to charge them more rent. There's a lot of protections for tenants here.
You see a lot of that shady dealings, especially downtown, where the value of
where I'm saying rent evictions are happening, where they're trying to get rid of people who have been in homes for 20 plus years and only paying, well below what quote unquote market is, because you're only allowed to raise rent X number amount per year. Nice. So
that's the way it should be.
Them. But what they're trying to do is say, hey, I need to renovate because we haven't done any work in that apartment for XYZ, so you have to move out for 3 months, and therefore you're being evicted, and when you come back your rent's going to be much higher. And that's people are fighting that. There's people actually refusing to move.
Well, and it also bugs me because a lot of these people, what they'll do is they'll buy up all the housing, especially the cheaper housing, and a lot of these landlords, and not every landlord, I know, not all landlords, but a lot of these landlords will then not take care of the house properly. I have my own evidence of this in the place I've moved into, where I know it was definitely a rental place, and they didn't take great care of it. And now, then they sell it, or they'll just keep renting it out until it's untenable, and then they're just like, okay, I'm going to leave now. It's like, great. So now anybody who wants to buy a house, especially millennials who we already know have issues with this kind of stuff, not only do you need all of the stuff you need, but then you need like $20 million. Well, exaggeration, but you need all this money to get everything fixed.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is thousands and thousands of dollars. Yes.
Let's just
Not
be
that's
clear
tens
here,
of thousands of dollars, Brent. Come on.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Depending on what the issues are, absolutely. If you go
Yeah.
in and the foundation is messed up because they couldn't do
screwed.
the bare minimum of landscaping, that can be $10,000 to get the foundation replaced.
Yeah.
Or
Oh,
in Minnesota, $10,000 for a furnace minimum,
Wow.
And
and
living
you
in
have to have one.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, it's Minnesota.
Or you will die.
You will
Yes.
die. Yes.
yeah,
Or
living
your
in the
pipes will freeze.
homeland,
The
a
first
single
snowflakes
family
there.
home is over $1 million. There is not a home on the market, a house, on land that's for less than $1 million. You can get a box in the sky for $600,000 or $700,000, but
Oh,
you're
even then.
literally a box in the sky. Like they're building up here, so
It flies
Same.
around.
I
It
believe
flies.
it.
Yeah.
It's got big
It's a
balloons.
blue.
Can't,
That's just what I'm
can't
picturing.
do it high
The
rise.
foundation is a cloud.
It's like the
don't
Mario guy you live next to.
Not everything should go in the cloud.
Yeah, well, and with that kind of housing, you buy your box in the sky, but you don't actually own any land. You don't own anything. You pay a strata fee to the strata, who then tells you what you can and cannot do with your space. It's like glorified renting. So yeah. Anyway,
I mean, I've
Wow.
lived in a condo before. There is some plus and minuses that go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
especially
don't-
if you get older and you can't do the landscaping anyways.
I'm okay with that. That's it's a different. I just when I want to own a home, I want to be able to have a dog and have a cat and
Right.
do
Oh,
what I
yeah.
want with it. And when you're in a box in the sky, you don't have that right. And I understand why it needs to be there, but I don't.
I want to be able to scream into the void anytime I want without bothering the neighbors.
That's
Right.
my
why
main
I'm-
one right there. Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if living where I live, I probably couldn't scream into the void every night. I might be able to negotiate once a week with my neighbors, but the neighbors
Okay.
are too close for
That's
that.
because the
Right.
voice
Friday
screams back
nights,
at
really.
you. That's because the voice screams back at you in
Yeah,
Minnesota.
Let's all go visit Hertzie in Minnesota and
Yes.
scream into the void together.
To give you guys an idea, I tell the story that a couple of years ago, I was delivering something in a condo they were building, high rise in West Van, and I happened to stumble upon a buddy of mine who was part of the construction. He gives me the tour, and they're building, and he takes me to the penthouse on top there on like 23rd floor or something like that. And it's one of those penthouses that, like in the movies with the waterfall and the pool on the roof, and the pimp lives there, kind of thing.
Oh wow.
It's exactly that. And it's overlooking the bay. He says, "How much do you think this costs?" So I don't know, a couple $1 million. He says, "No,
No.
the lower one below are $4 million a piece. This one here is 25.
$25
Yeah.
million?
$25 million
For a box
for a
in the sky.
condo."
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm thinking I could buy an island for that price.
Right?
But
Dude.
people pay it.
But people pay it.
But they do.
People pay it.
Yeah.
Somebody's living there now, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm going to buy it and you guys can come visit.
Yeah.
There
The
you
West
go.
Vancouver is outrageous. There is a home for sale there that's easily, it's about $50 million. I think it's listed for sale. Anyway, whatever it's listed for, it rents out for $50,000 a month.
Damn.
So obviously it's not occupied all the time, but it does. When it is rented, it's $50,000.
Wow, that's like a
Jesus.
car and a half per month.
Yeah, Yeah.
Jesus.
but
You
production
gotta be
companies,
a Hollywood celebrity, I guess.
and
to
that's
go
what
there.
happens is production companies come and then they
Are you
rent.
talking
out the
about
home.
porn?
Well, probably, but no.
I don't think it'd be that much money.
The last resident was quite famous. I can't disclose who, and before that was someone else, and also I can't disclose who. But very-
Ron Jeremy.
For a moment, I thought you were.
Ron Jeremy.
Well,
For a moment, I thought you were going to go Ron Perlman, and I was going to be like, my heart.
before we go into
Got a thing for Hellboy, huh?
more porn fun, let's take a quick pause. And when we come back, we'll be talking to Tracy Harris and Jen Belk about their new show. So stay with us.